The Overmind, Aurobindo's The Life Divine, Book 1, Chapter 28. Supermind Mind and the Overmind Maya. This is Chris speaking, Shores of Infinity, your channel about practical expansion of consciousness, awakening, enlightenment, spirituality. Make sure you like and subscribe. So, why is it practical to talk about things like the supermind, the overmind, and so on? Because you cannot reach awakening or enlightenment filled with lies. We've been lied to by religions and our culture about many things. And Aurobindo was doing his level best to expose those lies and bring as much knowledge as can be put into words back to humanity. The same Meher Baba tried. They had reached a level far beyond enlightenment. And although the infinite, divine, unknowable, unspeakable void cannot be described, some aspects of it can be described without religious undertones, without propaganda. In the last two chapters, Aurobindo described what the supermind is. The supermind is to the infinite what a prime minister is to a king or queen. The infinite or the divine or spirit, how Aurobindo calls it, cannot be described, cannot be grasped by human beings. And it also cannot act. It can only plan. It needs the supermind to put its plans into action. The ancient Vedic seers found three attributes of the infinite that can describe it more or less. Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Consciousness, force, bliss, or truth, consciousness, bliss. So we have on the one hand the three lowest attributes of the infinite: matter, life, and mind. And on the other hand, the three highest describable attributes of the spirit, of the infinite: supermind, Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Matter, life, and mind are like the population of the kingdom itself. While spirit is like the king or queen, and the supermind is like the prime minister. So, what do we need in between here? In between, we need creation. We need all the civil servants, the politicians, the Congress, the Parliament, whatever you call it. The judges, the police, the army, all that which makes the state of a large country possible. Excuse my political analogy, it's also mine, not Aurobindo's, but I think it makes it better to understand. Easier to understand. The divine, the infinite, the spirit, is not God or gods. It is the pure potential of everything. It is absolutely infinite. But it makes no sense to pray to it because it cannot change anything. It needs its minions, aspects of itself, to change something. The supermind and the overmind. The overmind, in this analogy, is the multitude of civil servants, putting the orders of the government into action. The supermind is the government, the overmind is the executrix, is creation, is Shakti, is Prakriti. In physical language, the overmind is the cosmic laws, like gravity, for example. In religious language, the overmind is God or the gods and the angels and so on. And in the language of the Vedic seers, the overmind is Maya, the thousandfold veils of illusion. And here we can see from a non-dual, from a enlightened perspective, Maya is not evil, nor is it good. It's not its job. The job of Maya, the job of the overmind, is to create. It is the hinge between the created and the plan of creation. The plan of the infinite to attempt the impossible. Thus, the overmind is the only part, the only aspect of the infinite that is both conscious and unconscious. Both limited and all-powerful. The overmind in its process of creation can modify itself. And while life and mind have already been released into matter, now it's time for the overmind and the supermind to be released into it and to lift it up and to fulfill our destiny. There must be a peak of ignorance and afterwards a lifting up, a light of consciousness and an evolution upwards back towards the divine infinite. The divine created a cunning plan to experience ignorance. And for that reason it has created the creator power of the supermind and the overmind. Unfortunately, within all of this, something that we call ignorance or falsehood or the forces of darkness have to be necessary to experience this ignorance. But as Shakespeare has already hinted at, all that is only a play. It's only a stage. And we as human beings are able to grasp this to some degree. And therefore we got intuition and the psychic being, our soul. We unite both these extremes within us, the three lower categories of body, life and mind, and the higher categories of overmind and supermind. We can remain in ignorance and lie to each other and kill each other and betray each other, or we can ascend towards another kind of human being. The supermind and the overmind have to fulfill their goal, which we cannot grasp, but we as a human being species also have to fulfill our goal, which we can grasp. And thus Maya, the overmind, is not an obstacle, it's a well of information. Through our intuition, the overmind can inform us which way to go. To go with the flow as half-conscious pawns in the cosmic play. And this concludes the first book of the Life Divine with the 28th chapter, and also we come back full circle to the beginning of the book, where Aurobindo talks about matter and consciousness as two opposites, two apparent opposites, the materialist and the idealist. And where he also talks of non-duality, of Advaita not being the highest form of wisdom, because it stops in the mental world, in the mental body. But there's something beyond that, the supermind. And in other terminology, the supermind is accessible in the third tier of spiral dynamics, or beyond 700 on the Hawkins scale, or beyond location 12 of the Jeffrey Martin scale. Still, all this could be a trick. Some Advaita teachers say, no, there is nothing. Non-duality is the highest form. All this is a trick. It's just the human beings want to believe that there's a way out, that there's an ascension, that there's something like enlightenment that there's something like a Superman, that there's something like a destiny, like a paradise almost. Well, it's not a paradise, and it's not an invulnerability. It's not that you cannot be killed or harmed once you're in a state of beyond enlightenment, as you can very well see with people like Jesus and Muhammad and Tatwale Baba and so on. It is not an individual way out. It's not that you can say, okay, if I'm in that stage of beyond enlightenment, then I'm finally free and can live without fear and cannot be harmed and will be happy ever after. No. The goal of beyond enlightenment is the whole species of humanity, not the liberation of a single person, but the liberation of all human beings. And of course you can say all this is illusion. There is no such a thing as I or you or as the human species. It's true because it's all created by the Overmind. It's all created by Maya. It is all illusion. Yet this illusion has been already created in matter, life, and mind, and is ongoing. It is happening right now, in the moment. And it is not really a solution of the problem to say it is an illusion. Yes, okay, it is an illusion, and so what? There is no way out of it. We are part of this illusion. The illusion is part of us. It is inbuilt. The realization that it is an illusion doesn't stop the illusion. You cannot defeat Maya, but you can step through Maya towards the supermind and play another part of the cosmic game. That's it for today. Thank you all my Patreons. Thank you for joining me as a Patreon. Thank you for liking and subscribing and hitting the bell button and sharing the videos with your friends, and see you soon.